would request Dr. Bano Saidullah to please give a presentation and elaborate on the topics of heart and circulation.
Today I'll talk about the blood and the circulatory system in humans. After studying this lesson, what would you achieve? That is the various things which I have written. What you will be able to do, you will be able to explain the nature of blood, give the normal composition of blood, describe the various components of the circulatory system, and you will be able to write about the role in circulation, be able to describe the mechanism, how the blood flows through the various tubes and how it is pumped into the various parts of the body. Now, this is a very, everybody, you know there is blood, but what is blood? Blood is actually a connective tissue. The human body has 4 types of tissues. First, one is the connective tissue, the other is the epithelial tissue, then the third is the muscle tissue, and the fourth is the nervous tissue. Blood is a connective tissue. And what does that mean? It means that it has certain characteristics which makes it a connective tissue. What are the characteristics of a connective tissue? They are basically derived from the mesoderm. The mesoderm is the middle layer of the embryonic layer when the human being was being formed. And most of the connective tissue are involved in providing structure and support to the body. So the main functions of the connective tissue are to support the body, bind or connect together all types of tissues. All the bones are connected with the help of connective tissue. And then they also provide a mechanical framework through the skeleton, which plays an important role in locomotion. Now, the skeleton is also a connective tissue, which may surprise you. Now, why are these diverse things known as connective tissue? All the connective tissue have 3 basic elements. They have cells, they have non-cellular fibers, which are of 3 types. These are the collagens, the elastic fibers, and reticular fibers. And all these are present in a non-cellular matrix, which forms the ground substance. You can see the non-cellular, the fibers, and then you can see the matrix. This blue groundwork is the matrix. And all these tissues which we are discussing, like this blood and the bones, have this structure. But even then, they are known as special because they look very different from the normal connective tissue. If I ask you how does the blood look, you would also say it is red, it is slightly thicker than water. So that is the main characteristics and appearance of blood. And it is slightly alkaline, which you may not know. It has a slight basic composition. And blood is composed of 2 parts. It has the fluid part, the plasma. This is the watery fluid which has most of the water in it, and it constitutes about 55% of the blood. Within this are the solid components. These are basically the cells which are found in the body, and these make up 45% of your blood. In the figure you can see these are the red blood cells, these are the white blood cells, and you have small platelets as well. How does one know that it has such 2 components, basically the plasma and the solid part? If you centrifuge the blood, it forms 2 parts. You have the plasma in the test tube above, and you have the solid component below in the test tube. And these, you can see the red erythrocytes are the red blood cells, you have the leukocytes that are the white blood cells, you have the white blood cells have number of cells called the basophils, eosinophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, neutrophils, and then you have the platelets. The blood plasma is, as I said, basically the liquid part of the blood, and it has about 90 to 92% of water. But apart from that, it has some solid components which consists of electrolytes, plasma proteins, fats, hormones, coloring substances like bile, pigments, etc. So, along with water, it has some solid components. Now, the blood plasma has proteins, and the important blood proteins it has are serum fibrinogen, which is derived or obtained from the liver, which comes from the liver, the serum albumin, which is also from the liver, And then you have the serum globulin, which is derived from the lymphocytes. That is, it comes from the white blood cells. This again shows the blood components. If you are you're tested for blood, this is how the blood is drawn, and then you have all these components. Now let us talk first about the red blood cells, an important component of the blood. These red blood cells are also called as RBCs. They are referred to as erythrocytes, and their main function is that they carry the oxygenated blood to various parts of the body, and once they lose their oxygen, they also get the carbon dioxide and they carry that back to the blood. Now the red blood cells are unique in the human body because you cannot see the nucleus in them, and their shape is also, you can see here, they are like this. They are without the nucleus, they are circular, they are biconcave, that is, they have depressions both sides, and they also contain the hemoglobin, which is the pigment carrying which is the pigment which carries the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. Now then next, we know that sometimes when we are ill and we get a blood test done, then the erythrocyte count or the red blood count might not be normal, and so let us talk what the normal RBC count is. If it is a male, it should be 5 million per millimeter cube of blood if it is an adult male, and if it is a female, they should have 4.5 millions per millimeter cube of erythrocytes in the adult females. Now as I have been explaining these things, you may have guessed some, or you may have also read about some of the functions. Now what are the important functions of the blood? They transport oxygen and also carbon dioxide. They maintain the viscosity of the blood. They maintain the thickness or thinness of the blood. And they also maintain the acid-base balance. That is, they have a buffering, act as a buffering agent to maintain the pH. Now we will talk about the white blood cells. These are the other, as I've mentioned earlier, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, and the platelets. Now the white blood cells are so called because they appear whitish in color, and they are there are more erythrocytes. You have one type of cells, but in the white blood cells you have many types, but these are divided into two basic types. If they are granular, if they have granules in them, they are called granulocytes, and if they do not have granules, they are called agranulocytes. So they basically have WBC are basically composed of two types of cells, which are further divided into other types. So the initial division is agranulocytes and granulocytes. These are the new white blood cells. These are the agranular leukocytes, and these are the granular. You can see the lymphocytes and the monocytes are the agranular ones, and the granular ones are basophils, neutrophils, and eosinophils. And there are two types of agranulocytes called the lymphocytes and the monocytes. And the lymphocytes are divisible into two types: the small lymphocytes and the large lymphocytes. The other group is the granulocytes. They are also known as polymorphonuclear leukocytes. This name has been given to them because all of them have lobed nucleus, and on the basis of the nucleus they have been named. Now they are the neutrophils, the eosinophils, and the basophils. What is the role of the blood corpuscles, white blood cells in the body? The neutrophils and monocytes are the first line of defense against invasion of microbes. Once the microbes enter the body, these cells engulf the microbes. They have pseudopodia, that is, they extend their finger-like projections and capture the microbes. Apart from them, you have the lymphocytes, and in the lymphocytes, lymphocytes also are a defense or cell. These are the white blood cells that protect our body, and you can see neutrophils' lifespan is 7 hours and they are involved in defense. Eosinophils last for 8 to 12 days, and they provide a defense they act against parasites. The basophils, they last for a few hours to a few days, and they cause inflammatory response. So if you have an inflammation, that means they have been acting and engulfing and causing a inflammation at the site of the infection. These are the monocytes, and they form the immune surveillance. They initially detect invasion. These are responsible for antibody production. So they are they are also in the defense circle, but they act later. First you have the initial first, which I have mentioned. They act on immediately by engulfing the microbe. And then you have the T lymphocytes. They also have a cellular immune response in the body. The third type of blood cells in the blood are the thrombocytes. Normal platelet counts in adults is 250,000 to 500,000 millimeter cubed, and these thrombocytes or platelets are small, round or oval shaped biconvex cytoplasmic bodies. They are derived from the cells, and their function is, they are involved in clotting. They circulate in the blood and are 1/4 the size of the RBCs. They have granules, and if in the absence, that is why when you have dengue or any other disease, platelet count becomes very important. Now we have talked about blood, and I would like to talk about the circulatory system. The circulatory system involves the movement of blood within the body, and this is achieved by means of a system of pipes as well as a heart, which is able to move this blood. So the circulatory system is composed of heart. It pumps oxygenated blood to and deoxygenated blood through arteries, veins, arterioles, venules and capillaries. Now you can see the green part represents the deoxygenated blood and the red represents the oxygenated blood, and this is the heart. The heart's pressure is so much that once it contracts, the blood goes all over the body and returns back with the same one single contraction. It is not that you have some help from the veins and the venules, which have walls which prevent backflow of blood, but the blood goes to all the areas of